We have that restart. Shane gets by him, and I'm looking at my mirror, and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me! You've got to be kidding me! This
Yeah.
guy."
Welcome to the NASCAR Film Room. My name is Eric Estepp. We are breaking down Circuit of the Americas with this guy again. I can't get rid of him. Tyler Reddick is here. Tyler, it's great to see you, man. 3 in a row, historic stuff. I saw you recreated the iconic, MJ three-peat photo. You set this record. That's impressive alone. But you're doing it driving for a race team that's still fairly new, and you're doing this in an era of data sharing, spec race cars. You could argue this is the most even the competitive field has been in NASCAR history. Is that like an extra feather in your cap to say you've won 3 straight to start the year in this era of all NASCAR eras?
Yeah, I think there's certainly something to that. There's there's been some amazing drivers, Hall of Fame drivers that have done incredible things, and it's just crazy that one of these greats of NASCAR hasn't just popped off 3 to start the year. That's just insane, honestly. Um, but yeah, talking more so about today's NASCAR, we have the Daytona 500, which is a hard race to win for a number of reasons, right? You can have the best car, you can have the best strategy, and still not win the race. Then we go to Echo Park Speedway, which has kind of become, its own animal. Another race that, again, you can do everything right, or in my case, do a couple things wrong, wreck, and still win. I mean, that's a really hard race to execute and win. And then we come to Circuit of the Americas, where, like you said, even at all 3 of these racetracks, the field's really, really deep. A lot of good drivers, a lot of great race cars. And of course, at the very end, right, we have that restart. Shane gets by him, and I'm looking at my mirror, and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me! You've got to be kidding me! This
Yeah.
guy." But I was ready for it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I told myself, if I'm gonna win on Sunday, I am gonna have to beat Shane. Yeah, it was just extremely fitting that he's there slotted into second. It's like, okay, well, I've got to hold off the guy no one's been able to hold off for about a year now. So
It was the battle of streaks. Your win streak and his road course win streak collided there in the closing laps. Well, Tyler, I do want to get into those moments and a few other specifics. This race didn't have the same, last lap dramatic pass for the win highlight that we can look at, but there were a few moments. I want to touch on the very beginning of the race because you started on pole but drifted back pretty quickly and then started to march your way forward. Was that just you maybe trying to save tires, being overly conservative? What was your strategy the first stint of this race?
yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't overdo turn one, but I still did. I don't know. I kind of got in this spot, before I got back to the 9 here, where I just was losing momentum, getting past kind of offline, dirty tires. And, when you see a car fall like that, people are just going to be super aggressive to take advantage of you. And,
Mm.
yeah, from this point on here, this is, 8, 9, run
Yeah.
lap 8 or 9, we kind of stabilized behind the 9, stopped getting past. And then when I kind of settled in running my rhythm, like, oh, okay, like we're actually better than all these cars that just passed us. You know, we've just got to get back by them. So, yeah, you just try to manage your stuff. Honestly, this is a track where it's so easy to overdrive the corners, and when you do that, you're in danger of locking up a tire, a number of things. And again, as this track got dirtier and dirtier, the more offline you get, whether you actually truly make a huge mistake or not, it's amplified by how little grip there was offline. So, um, I kind of just made some understandings, had an understanding of how the first stage went. It's like, all right, well, just gonna have to adjust on stage 2 and on, and we were able to do that, thankfully.
Defensive driving, get through that first stage, had speed at the end of stage 2, or at the end of stage 1, you take the lead at the start of stage 2. Statistically, you are the best driver at Circuit of the Americas. You've 5 straight top 5s, you know this, 3 poles, 2 wins now. What is the one, maybe, is there obviously you want to be good everywhere, but is there a turn, a sector, a section of the racetrack that's like a priority that you've identified, hey, I can make up a lot of time here?
It's funny. I feel like, what I prioritize as a driver with the Gen 6 car is different now. Even what I prioritized as a driver when I won here in 2023, the priorities were a little bit different then versus now. But, one thing that is super important, as the surface has been repaved and wore out, as track limits have changed a bit is just the S's is just an opportunity to gain or lose so much time. And, you just have to be so precise through here. And all day long when you're in the lead, it's like, how much risk do you take cutting it close to the barriers? There's a little bit of speed that you can get there, right? But, the penalty this year versus years past is pretty extreme. I feel like past years, yes, you didn't want to cut it, but there wasn't anything that you could potentially clip. And so, yeah, that's an area where Shane definitely was nailing his marks a little bit better than I was. But it's just one of those deals where it's like, again, a major mistake is what's going to open up the opportunity to pass. Just run clean laps.
Yeah.
I can't cruise through the S's, but it's like, all right, I've been running the S's a certain way all day. It's a lot to kind of expect. All right, let's take it up another degree and not make a mistake. That was a thing that was difficult to manage because he could certainly close getting into 6A. And that clip you just showed there, that was probably the closest he got. And I kind of, I didn't know if he was going to make the lunge. I think it turned out he wasn't going to, but yeah, I had to kind of just be a little bit defensive in that moment.
And he complimented you actually after the race how good you were through the S's. So, like, yeah, you say he got close. He's obviously really good at this, but, I mean, you must have been doing something right.
Yeah, I could get through 3 and 4 pretty good. He was doing a much better job of kind of giving up a little bit through 4 to get through 5 well, and that would kind of get him in position to possibly be able to make some kind of a move, into 6. And if he could make the move into 6, he'd stay close getting into 12 to where if, again, any kind of mistake out of me, he was going to be able to make the move into 13.
Probably the moment in this race you were closest to losing control of the lead, I would say, was pretty early in the final stage. Ryan Blaney, we'll show the clip here. I think it starts right before the stadium section. It looked like maybe you missed the apex of turn 12 there, and that allowed him to get close. Take me through this clip as we watch it and just how you're able to defend, hold the lead. What's going through your mind here?
Yeah, Ryan's pushing really hard, I feel. And, I'm just, again, trying to manage my race, manage my laps. And yeah, we got the apex at 12. I knew that he was going to be in position to make a little bit of a lunge, so I had to cover it a little bit. Unfortunately, the angle I left myself a little bit vulnerable here. But thankfully, I was able to kind of cover it to some degree. He tried really hard to get to the left rear. Thankfully, I gave up just enough to where he wasn't able to poke the inside. But again, with how dirty it got offline through the carousel here, it was just really hard to make that outside work. Yeah, I had a big slide. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, man, I can't slide too much. The tires, they don't like it. So, yeah, that was one moment where I felt like, he was able to, again, one mistake in that section, he was going to be able to get by. So we were able to kind of, protect the side of the racetrack that we needed to when he was there, and kind of was able to, keep him from getting alongside me. I definitely didn't want to give him the inside in the carousel, and we were able to hold that position.
I want to wrap up with this, Tyler. Again, the finish, and you talked about it some earlier, but yeah, you had to beat the best road racer in the business the past year, Shane van Gisbergen, to get it done. I heard you talk post-race about how mentally there's a lot going through your mind there. I know you also said after the race that like your leg was kind of falling asleep, so you had that sort of maybe, I don't know if that was a physical distraction, but mentally you're trying to focus on hitting your marks, steady laps, but you also got Shane in your rearview mirror, and you're not sure, is he saving something? Like that's what he likes to. He likes to play with his food.
No, he's very smart. Yes.
So how much of that? How challenging is that? Thinking of all that at the same time.
Yeah, it's again, you just try and understand what's applicable to the current moment, and certainly when he faded off, it's like, all right, come on, like there's no way like I'm actually pulling away. But yeah, he truly kind of burned it up, and that was it. But again, as a driver, what I've seen out of him since he's been here in our sport, and even dating back to what he did in supercars, I mean, he's just got a lot of racing craft, and it's fun to watch. It's not fun to race him. I have a lot of respect for him, but it's a lot to try and hold someone like that off. But when you watch him run the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, or go back and watch some of these races, especially from last year in the Cup car, or just the moves he pulls off at even Chicago street course, just an immense amount of racing craft, and it's really fun to watch and observe and try to learn how to do those things. So yeah, you just never really know what to expect out of Shane. And yeah, I was just truly shocked that when I did finally pull away and it was 3 or 4 seconds there that okay, that was really it. That was all he had, and we were able to hang on to it there. But when he came into this and won Chicago, the Terry went on last year. It was extremely motivating for me. Before he showed up, I feel like we were one of those teams that would contend every single week to win these road
Yeah.
courses, and he just forced everyone to elevate their game. So we were very motivated this offseason to, okay, what do we got to do? What do we got to look at? What do we got to work on? You're never guaranteed the outcome that we had yesterday, but it's very rewarding when you put in that kind of work and you get the results that you do.
Well, it certainly paid off. And I know when I talked to Shane after the race, he said the better driver won yesterday. So that has to feel pretty good. Congratulations again, Tyler. 3 wins in a row. I'll pencil you in for next week. Same time, same place. That sound good to you?
I like it. Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. We've been working on it. It's hard to find time of the week. We got a lot we're working on, but we put a lot of work and effort into COTA. We put a lot of work and effort into Phoenix in the off season as well. And we've been working hard on Vegas, and we're already very good at Vegas, in my opinion. So I'm very excited to see what we're going to have this coming weekend, but also in Vegas, because it really seems like we're kind of hitting on some things that make sense. And we've been showing up with some really outstanding race cars. So I've had some great moments at Phoenix, some great opportunities at Phoenix.
You got another great opportunity to extend your season opening wins record. Tyler, again, congratulations and thanks for doing this. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck. Good luck out west.
Thank you.